Hi again, welcome back. Attorney Steve Vondran. We are talking in this video about photo infringement tricks and traps. Tricks and traps. All right, so a lot of people are getting these photo infringement letters saying you used my photo on your website, you infringed my client's rights. It could be a law firm, it could be what they call what I've heard term a copyright agency, where it seems like they're representing other photographers and trying to collect money for other photographers. Sometimes, if you can't settle with them, it gets elevated to a law firm. So there's a law firm in California that does a lot of these cases. But let's look at some of the tricks and traps where you can get caught up and find yourself on the other end of a receiving end of a demand letter, something you don't want, demand for copyright infringement. So let's take a look here, okay? So let's just say we're looking for bicycle, okay? Just a bicycle. I want to use a photo of a bicycle on my blog or in a video. Here's what most people will do. They will go to Google, they'll search that, and then they'll go to images, okay? And then taking it one step further, people will say, well, I want to use one of these photos that I know I'm not going to get in trouble with. That's something that maybe doesn't have any copyrights or that's royalty free. So they'll come here. Do you see this Tools tab? They'll come to the Tools tab and they'll come over here to Usage Rights. Do you see that here? Usage Rights. And they'll come down and they'll say, well, let's see. I can filter by labeled for non-commercial reuse, non-commercial reuse with modification. No, because I actually want to use it commercially. That's for business. So how about labeled for reuse? That looks good. Let's go labeled for reuse. That should be allowing me to use it commercially. So you come here and you go, okay, so all these in theory should be labeled for reuse. There's a nice one with some orange rims on there. Looks like an old mongoose I used to have when I was a kid. So let's take a look here, but let's go to this little cutie pie right there. So let's go to this cutie pie. So you may come to this and go, okay, well, it's labeled for reuse. I'm just going to cut and paste it right there or clip it, make a screenshot. But what a lot of people do is, number one, first problem, your first trap is ignoring this down here, because you just got done reading that it's labeled for reuse. But then this kind of suggests that maybe it's subject to copyright. So it's a little conflicting, actually. But you go here and you say learn more. If you're smart, you come down here and you say learn more, and then you go, well, maybe this is subject to copyright. I don't know. I don't know if I want to chance it. Here's some good information on copyrights. And I like this part here where it talks about you can still be subject to copyright infringement even if you're giving credit to the copyright owner. Look at these here. Even if you're giving credit to the copyright owner, let's have my able assistant do that for me. Okay, able assistant.
Given credit to the copyright owner, refrain from monetizing the infringing content charged for a copy of the content in question. Notice similar content that appear elsewhere on the internet. Purchased the content, including a hard or digital copy. Recorded the content yourself from TV, a movie theater, or the radio. Copied the content yourself from a textbook, a movie poster, or photograph. Stated that no copyright infringement is intended.
Okay, well, I guess my Mac is not so good at reading bullet points. Learn something new every day. So anyway, there's a lot of ways that you can still get busted for copyrights. But let's go back here. Okay, so let's say you just kind of overlook it like a lot of people do. You just go, well, it's labeled for reuse. Let's go visit the page. Let's go see what's on the page. See if there's anything there. This is off the Pixabay website. And so there you see it and you go, oh, there's a free download. Nice. Pixabay license, free for commercial use, no attribution required. Good. So that sounds like there's not really any restrictions on it. And most people will probably neglect to click on the Pixabay license, but I encourage you, if you're going to be trying to use photos this way, click down. Take a better look, and it says here you can use all images and videos published by Pixabay for free, except as set out below, so there is restrictions. You may use them for commercial and non-commercial, that's nice. In altered and unaltered form, that's nice. You don't need to ask permission, that's nice, or provide credit to the image, author, or Pixabay, although it is appreciated. So you may want to do that just out of the goodness of your heart. What's not allowed? Do not redistribute images or videos on other stock photo or wallpaper platforms. So that's a restriction. If there's identifiable people in the photo, those people may have their own rights. And it says identifiable people may not appear in a bad light or in a way that is offensive. So you have to follow that rule. And do not imply endorsement of your product by the image author or depicted persons or brands. Don't sell unamended or unaltered copies of an image or video. Don't sell it as a stock photo, poster, print, or on other physical product without adding any value. So you see, there are restrictions, and what happens is if you start violating these restrictions, and it also says here, please note some of the things depicted in the images and videos, such as identifiable people or logos, may have other rights, such as copyright or trademarks that you have to contend with that require consent or license of a third party. So now you're seeing some restrictions, and then you go in here to read the full license, and here's the full license. I'm not going to go through all that. You can go find it if you want. But then you come down here and you say indemnification for breach of terms. You agree to indemnify and hold harmless Pixabay from and against any and all losses, expenses, damages, and costs, including with limitation reasonable attorney fees. So if there's any claims bought by third parties, now you may need to defend them. If they get sued because of you, then they're saying you're going to take it over. So there's a lot of, to me, little tricks that you have to be aware of when you're looking for a photo to use on your website. And, you can just kind of look around. Different photos may have different things. But again, let's go tools, uses rights, labeled for reuse. And let's see if there's anything else good down here. Let's see here. We're looking for something good. How about this one? Here's the public domain. This says public domain files. So again, you come here, but again, it's informing you it may be subject to copyright. So just beware, these may be subject to copyright. But you go here to, this looks like a public domain website, public domain files, illustration of a bicycle. And what else do we have down here? It says it's in the public domain. It's free of known copyright restrictions, so that looks good. Anything else down here? Well, let's see. We have some more. See, do you see how I'm looking to see what else is there? It's a trick or a trap if you're shortcutting the process and not going down and taking a better, closer look at these terms, which to me sometimes can be very, complicated. So it says this file is available in the public domain. They have no restrictions on use and may be used for any purpose without any conditions, commercial or not, unless such conditions are required by law. But there are some possible prohibited uses. Again, this is why you have to read. Although a file is in the public domain, the work may still have some strict restrictions for use if it contains any of the following elements. Files containing an identifiable person. Such person has not provided a model release. So if there's a picture of a guy or a gal and they're at the beach and there may be a model issue with a model release. Somebody may come after you and say, what's going on? It's right of publicity. You're using my photo. And you say, what? I got it on public domain site. I didn't do anything wrong. But here it is right here. This is what they're going to point you to. Again, files containing registered corporate logos or trademarks. This is one I found interesting. File containing an identifiable building or structure and the owner of such building has not provided a property release. That's really interesting. So if you're in front of a famous courthouse and somebody says, hey, don't shoot, you can't take pictures of this courthouse. You're going like, what? That's a public courthouse. They say, no, you got to get a property release, pay a fee. You want to take photos. So there's, there's more. Files containing any of the above elements that do not also have a provided release would generally fall under either editorial uses only and may not be used for commercial purposes. So users downloading files that are designated as editorial use assume full responsibility for their files. Depending on your use of the editorial use, files may require additional rights from that of the public domain files, or the copyright owner may or may not be able to provide. You should consult your legal counsel to be sure your use is legal. So this is what I'm trying to show you. Even seemingly simple tasks and even things that look like they're available here on Google and it's got usage rights labeled for reuse, it does not mean that you shouldn't drill down and do the extra work to find out if there's any other restrictions. And this is why it's so laborious, and it's also the reason why I tell people, you know, I would rather take my chances with a paid stock site where I'm paying for my photos than risk getting an infringement letter or things like that. So, but, you know, not everybody has the, 20, 30, 40, whatever it is per month to pay the fees. I get it. But, this is the risk that's out there. And if you're going to do it this way, you might as well go through the exercise, print it out, highlight the restrictions, keep it in a folder so that you're trying to document your good compliance, okay? You're doing the best you can, trying to show that any infringement would be innocent. That's your best defense, usually when you have an photo infringement, is that it was innocent, okay? So beware, Attorney Steve users always, if they're gonna be using these photos, they do an extra look down and see what else is there. Some great photos out there, I realize that, but make sure you're using it right. Because if you're not, these photo rights company, the rights that have the photos, the holders of the copyright, they can come sue you for not adhering to the terms. Okay, some of these we also see will be subject to Creative Commons. Okay, so you may find a bike picture in here. Could be any of these. Could be this one over here, subject to Creative Commons, and this one may be one of them, but Creative Commons may have its own restrictions, so you got to go in and read those to make sure you're avoiding all the traps. So that's, guys, gals, it's tough. If you want to use images for free, it's tough. Learn how to create your own stuff is the best. If you can't do that, look at stock sites. If you can't do that, then I would suggest doing the work when you're trying to get your photos. Okay, so that's Attorney Steve Vondran. That's my quick tip for the day on photo infringement. I see a lot of letters coming around. I see people demanding, both rights organizations and law firms demanding $2, $3, $5, $10, $20,000 for infringement of one photo, two photos. So be very careful. This is a real thing. I'm not making this up. And if you need help with photo infringement, we can help both plaintiffs and defendants enforce their rights and raise their proper defenses. Okay, you can find me on the web at attorneysteve.com. It's attorneysteve.com, the first name in legal services. I got to run. See you again.